Hello, I'm Bianca, and welcome to the Convey Culture podcast. One of my favorite things about the Convey Culture podcast is it gives me the opportunity to hear various stories across generations, the way we look at identity and culture, our relationships to one another, and how brands and marketers look at that, but also how we as humans look at understanding and uncovering intersectionality and all the things that make us unique humans. And I'm really excited today. I always say I'm excited. You'll hear me say it every episode because I'm always excited to talk to our guests. But I'm very excited today to talk to Sheena Roberts. We want to explore entrepreneurship, journey into womanhood, a journey into luxury, and explaining about really how to have the life that you want and how to live a life that is robust and abundant. And so we'll have that conversation today. Sheena, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to have this conversation.
That'd be
Like
good.
chomping at the bit, like, yeah.
Let's do it. Well, how would you introduce yourself to a stranger? And let's say this stranger can't necessarily see you. So your ethnicity, your culture, everything that you would kind of want someone to know about you. And a stranger we trust. This isn't a creepy stranger.
Okay, well, hi, stranger. My name is Sheena Roberts. I would say I'm a millennial. Although I'm the older sorts of millennials. So I think we call ourselves zennials. We had disc jockeys, DJ or disc walkie talkie, yeah, just weird stuff growing up. We were here when we introduced the internet and we had chat rooms and things of that nature. So we're a pretty interesting group of people. I am also a Libra through and through. I am definitely, when it comes to Libra tendencies, I'm very indecisive. I can't make a decision to save my life. I am African American woman, and I'm exploring this concept of entrepreneurship as well as multi-layering in with the 9 to 5, being a single mom of 2 beautiful children, and doing a lot of different things at one time.
It's incredible. I mean, you talk about the amount of things in a day. I feel like entrepreneurship just by itself is so big. I don't think people always understand. And then functioning as a woman in a society, as a mother, all of those elements just layer in.
You took it
So
right.
it's a
You
complex. Yeah.
took it right out of my mouth, right?
Right? You think about it and you're like, sometimes you have to say, I do all those things. And it's a moment of just like pride, like I'm doing all those things. And how is any of those experiences, whether being a single mom or just being a Black woman existing now, being a millennial, I'm an older millennial too, so we're
Okay.
just gonna
Okay.
play millennial.
Right, you know.
How has any of that shaped who you are today?
Oh gosh, there's so many layers, right? So we start out, I'm from Annapolis, Maryland. That is a very diverse, I would say, in a sense that you have the haves and you have the have-nots. So a lot of people, when you think of Annapolis, you think of the Navy, you think of sailing, you think of, downtown Annapolis and all the great things. But never have I ever felt more blacker growing up in Annapolis, because there's not a lot of us there. So it's very kind of isolating in a way to grow up in such a town that has so much notoriety, so much wealth, and here you are, kind of like, how in the world did I end up here? Because like, Dad, Mom, why did you pick this? Like, why not Baltimore or just DC or Atlanta or someplace where I have more people like me? But anyway, just growing up in that space, you're very much you feel different because you just have different experiences compared to other people who may go away on their beach house for the Eastern Shore for the summers. And, I'm at my grandparents' cleaners working customer service, getting their dry cleaning and doing stuff that not a lot of 12-year-olds were doing. But I think that as you take your experience and you connect it across like globally and you start connecting with people. I went to Morgan State University, HBCU,
Yes.
nationally known, shout out. But also you see like, oh my gosh, my experiences are not that much different from other people who look like me. And that was the first time I was just like, oh, okay. So it's not just me who had these unique experiences. So couple that, and then you go on into being in corporate America. Being a Black woman in corporate America was for me a very eye-opening experience, very traumatizing at times. And so just navigating that space as being Black, as being woman, and then being in corporate America as a millennial, coming up with what, 2008, so that was during the time that it was the recession. So if you wanted to get any type of increase, you had to leave your job and try to find another one. There was no upward mobility in corporate America. You just had like this shark mentality. It was something different. So that, and then figuring out how to do this mom thing, that's still something I'm trying to do every day. I think I identify myself as a different type of mom. Every month, it's like, okay, what kind of type of mom does my child need now as they just, evolve and grow and become their own children, their own people. Actually, my daughter's 13, my son is 8. So just dealing with the ebbs and flow of my daughter becoming everything that she is, and my son becoming everything that he is, and me trying to navigate that within it's just been an awesome experience.
That there's so many little strings that I want to pull on from that, and I'm gonna reverse engineer. But first, I have 4 kids, so I am right in that range of kids, and I feel like parenting now is me. It's like this combination of I have McDonald's money, so I'm gonna do what I want. Like I have things that I want to do for my kids. I remember my parents like not being able to do things,
Mhm.
so then it's like, what can I do for my kids? But then you're right. I'm trying to unbreak generational curses. I'm trying to not parent the same way. I'm trying to not bring my stuff into my parenting. And so, how has that been for you? You have this, I feel like there's such a big generational difference in how our parents did things and how we parent.
That's so interesting because literally, I think it was last week. And my children, they want for nothing. They're very well taken care of. And they're good kids, very well, well versed, lots of sports, good grades, good kids. And so they have no shame like going through stores. They might ask, like, can I get something? But like little small things like putting it, if we're going grocery shop and they want a certain cereal, it goes in the cart. Like I don't really think twice about it. So um, last week, they wanted to go to, we had a little early start to the day. So they said, can we go to Dunkin' Donuts? I think it was Dunkin' Donuts and Starbucks or something for breakfast. And I was about to be like, no, no, that is not in my budget. I did not budget for that today. And my daughter said, whoa, whoa, like, wait a minute. She said, what are you saying? I said, it's not in my budget. I didn't budget to go to Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts today for y'all to have breakfast. She said, stop. Now I'm scared. I feel like now you're talking about my well-being. And
Right.
I said, babe, what are you talking about? She's like, you just said we broke. I said, no, I'm not saying we're broke. I'm simply saying that that's nothing that I planned for is for you guys to have breakfast at Dunkin' Donuts and Starbucks. So it is an interesting, I want to break generational curses. I want them to know that they always have a place to come back home to. I'm definitely doing things a little differently. However, there's still the values of understanding that this is my money, not
Yes.
yours. You guys are broke. You're broke. I'm not. But
Our best friend. We are
right,
not.
we're not like, this is my money. You can't just, want me to do everything for you all the time. And sometimes I might say no to certain things, but they have, summer vacations, and waiting for passports now, and out of the country. They're experiencing different cultures, and I want that for my children because I want them to understand that they're more than just what this society is trying to portray us as. And I think that you, as having a marketing background, can appreciate that when I was coming up, even going through corporate America,
Yeah.
there was this huge initiative and I work in healthcare. If I walk through these halls, the aesthetic of it, I don't see anybody that looks like me. And how well do you think I'm going to feel welcomed in your place of care if I'm walking through the halls and all the posters have people that look nothing like me? And it starts with just what I would think common sense stuff. But anyway, I'm pretty sure I'm
No,
going into
I
a
agree.
tangent, but
I can't tell you how many times as a marketer I've sat in healthcare meetings where they project single women or single that this one narrative about black mothers, and it's this ongoing narrative, and it's inaccurate, it's unfair, it's not, there's no statistical relevance to support it, but yet that's the image they've decided to run with. And so within healthcare, we've had this conversation on previous podcasts, but you are essentially, if I work at somewhere and I walk every day and I see this stereotype every day, I start treating every mother that comes in this manner because you're portraying them as a drug addict or you're portraying them as a violent parent. And so as marketers, the power of reinforcing bad things or amplifying good things is immense. You have the power to do both. So I absolutely agree. And oh, I'm so for traveling. I use McDonald's money as an analogy because I'm like,
Mhm,
yes, you can
mhm.
go experience the world and go feel seen somewhere. I think there's moments I've traveled and felt more belonging than I've ever felt in the US at moments. So it's an
Yes.
interesting
Yeah.
dynamic.
And I want my children to experience the same. So, we're going to the Bahamas. I wanted them to go to Jamaica. I want them to see, different aspects of our diaspora, which I think is important.
Oh, I agree. Tell me about a time you felt like you belonged. You talked about corporate America. You talked about college and HBCU. And when was a moment where you're like, I feel like I belong?
I think that is strangely, going to an HBCU directly from where I came from was actually a culture shock a little bit. So I really that didn't because I was going in there thinking it was going to be like a different world, where it definitely was a little bit different or a lot of different. But it was like, oh my gosh, this is very different, and even still amongst people that look like me, I still felt very different from everyone around me. And I would say, strangely enough, the job that I felt most, I would say, the place in my time in my life where I felt most, what was the word, included,
Or
would
seen
be
or belonging? Yeah.
belong would be when I worked for an organization, and we were in the middle of, I'm in Maryland, right? So we were in like Baltimore. And this is the area where, where they shot probably The Wire and things of that nature. So we were helping, and we were a community service based organization tagged to a larger health system. And everybody who wanted to be there was there. You were there because you wanted to be there. And it felt like family. You were helping your community. We offered like these wonderful services. We offered childcare assistance and just training programs, etiquette classes, so many different things. And financial literacy. I never felt that much a part of a organization and their actual, what's the word, mission,
Yeah.
right? As I did with that organization. And I think because I look around and I'm working with people that look like me, that didn't look like me, we were all there for one commonality, one common theme, and that was to help the community around us. Great leadership from the health system level, and from there, I have not experienced that level of inclusion or belonging since then, and that was many years ago.
Like,
13, it had
what
to be
a
13 years ago.
beautiful
Yeah.
way to look at whole health. Like that experience
Yeah.
alone makes you feel seen, that there's not only one element of a community you're helping. Because I think so much, you talk about healthcare, and I that looking at health as, in order to enjoy healthcare, I need financial stability. In order to
Mhm.
I need to understand how to communicate in a way that allows you to see me as someone worthy of helping in this moment. So I need clarity and communication. It's a lot of those. So I love that experience. You felt belonging when you were really supporting your community, and that alignment there. I like that example.
It was a pretty good good job. I loved it. I love it. I missed them too.
I know. It's always like you need those jobs to not only feed your soul, but also allow you to financially grow. I feel like there's always this push and pull there. It's like sometimes you're in those roles and you're like, but now I cannot, I cannot maintain a life I need for my kids and my family. So I
Yeah.
just wish there was more overlap in those
Yeah.
experiences. That's a
Yeah.
culture change.
Yeah. Yep. That's very true.
So, we're taking a little bit of a pivot, but how does society or even culture and identity impact the way you look at self care? You named all these things you have going on, this multifaceted kind of pulls on your attention. How do you maintain self care and all of that?
Oh, oh, self-care is like my number one thing. That's my go-to right now. It self-care, and this has been the thing, right? It became quite the statement word some years ago. And it's more than like, luxury like bubble baths and, body scrubs and candles. For us, that meant for me going into these spaces that are not very diverse looking, and I am very much the only person at certain tables or little squares because we're now, post, the demi.
Mhm.
Um, but little squares on the computer screen, and you're the only one looking like you do. So I clearly have stopped worried about my presentation in a way that will fit a mold. So
Right.
self-care for me means I'm at this table because what I have and the experience I have is of value to your organization. So that means you're going to accept me in my braids, my blonde braids, my box braids, or just straight, whatever, ponytail. I no longer try to, um, I guess, talk in a certain way. That's, how corporate people can talk
Right.
sometimes.
Of
I
course.
stopped
I
trying to
do it.
talk in that manner because I found myself, the more I tried to code switch, stumbling over words, not knowing necessarily what to say or how to say what it is that I want to say. And I'm just at a place where I'm just going to be authentically myself. Um, so those are the type of things, like the type of earrings that, I wear. I don't think of those things in that manner anymore because gone are the days where, we're taught we have pearl earrings, very straight hair, manicured. I mean, I'm not going to go in there looking a mess. I'm
Right.
definitely going to present myself in a way that I have pride in who I am and what I'm bringing to the table and my position within the organization. However, my self care for me is no longer trying to mold myself into this persona and then take the cape off because that's such a heavy burden, right? To
Yeah.
be 8 hours this, character, and then take the cape off, throw off your underwire bra, and you're like, scratching your hair and then take
Help.
the wig off, patting your weave. That's uncomfortable. And who told us we had to do any of that stuff? Bish posh. I'm done. I'm not doing that type of stuff anymore.
Authenticity as an act of self care is a beautiful
100%.
thing. Like what you just said, authenticity as an act of self care. And listen, in what you described, even hit close to home for me because I can't tell you how many times I'm like chameleon or adapting or code switching, and it's exhausting, right? You have those moments of exhausting. And so I think, I don't know, I hit a certain age where I was just like, okay, you're going to get what you're going to get. Like this is a burden too big to bear, and you start it. I personally feel, and maybe this resonates with you, I feel like it drives loneliness because
Mm.
then it doesn't feel like someone actually knows you. They are experiencing something you've put forth to make it palatable to them, but they don't know you, so then there's this immense loneliness that comes with that. And that is where you get tired in corporate. You're like, what am I doing? Like, what, how much longer can I be this person? And you feel a familiarity with a person you don't actually know. It's a
I'm grateful for my current career, my current path. However, it is exhausting. It is isolating and it is lonely. And I guess I got tired of being tired. And
yeah.
that's when I switched to, like, you know what? I'm gonna start creating a life that I don't need a vacation from, where I'm not feeling the Sunday blues. Oh my gosh, I used to get the Sunday blues so bad. Thinking about everything that what Monday means, the elimination of your freedom and all that, like, well, going to this place where you just don't feel like you, like, who you are, and there's nobody who knows you through and through, and that's very isolating. I agree.
So tell me one about your entrepreneurial journey. What made, because right now we're seeing this big exodus of Black women really going into entrepreneurship as a way to reclaim freedom and build independent wealth. And there's a lot of different reasons, but what was kind of the impetus into your journey of entrepreneurship?
Well, it started once I left that wonderful organization, and I said, of course, when you have these type of organizations, I agree, going back to what you stated, it's a great feeling, but it's almost like it's so polar, right? Because then you're like, well, I have to actually have a sustainable income. So I'm going to go with on a different path, more in line with my master's degree at that time. And shell shocker, it was like very different. There was no family feel. It was felt very monotone. And I was like, okay, maybe it's me. So let me go somewhere else. Let me go back to a smaller community hospital. And then I found I was met with inequitable pay, and that whole thing that we go through, not asking for the things that I felt that I was worthy of because I was afraid, honestly, self sabotage and imposter syndrome. But The biggest thing when it struck me like this, something's not right here, was when I went into early labor with my son. My son was born a month premature due to stressor at work. And I literally had an event happen at work, and the next day had these symptoms that I thought was a cold. And they said, no, you need to come to the ER. And they said, no, you're in active labor. I'm like, but my son's not due for another month. So he came along and he was, in the NICU. And I said, this is not something's not right here. And I navigated different things and tried to figure out, like, is it me? Can I do something different? And maybe more work, less work. Something was not right. So at the end of the day, I said, you know what? I'm only going to look for things that align with me and hype that's for my benefit and for my greatest good. And so that's when I've just decided to look into going and having a life that I don't need a vacation from. And I learned a lot of things. And so there is this big exodus of us who are leaving corporate America. You want this financial freedom, you want your time. You want your time. I want to be able not only, and this has been the big issue, right? We've been searching for money for the longest time. We was like, once we get to a certain level, money wise, then that's when everything happens. But once you make $70,000, studies show your happiness doesn't correlate with that. It's no correlation. So it's something else. And so what I've been doing is focusing on how can I help more women who are coming from an environment that coming from, and actually confidently moving towards their goals with the elimination of self-doubt or the great reduction of self-doubt, working within that fear to really have your dreams come to fruition so that you can really enjoy the life that you are supposed to be living.
More of that, because one, just it's a beautiful journey that you went on to get to that point, but so much resonates with even what we're seeing statistically. Like there was a report recently that talked about anxiety in Black women comes off as anger, or it comes off. So when you're this trope of angry Black women is this experience of going into a workplace, going into society and being so highly anxious that you're actually just coming off as a little bit harsh when you are so anxious in the space
Mm-hmm.
that you aren't in a place to be vulnerable. And I think we gaslight ourselves. I can't tell you how many times we've said, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. And then you get home and you're like, what is going on? And you're even like, I'm not in labor. Like you gaslight yourself because you've been told to just keep pushing and you're strong and you're resilient. And so I do think some of those stereotypes or tropes make us do things to ourselves unintentionally as well.
Yeah, that's very true. The great unlearning of the resilient Black woman is where we are right now. I'm all for Black women at ease, Black women at rest. I've found that so many things come to you when you're in a state of ease, as opposed to this hustle grind mentality that we have been subjected to for so many years. Once I put certain things into place and started focusing on myself and my family and how I felt, the jobs came along, the opportunities came along, the house came along, the car came along. All the things I had been working so hard to do actually came quicker once I sat my happy behind down.
Like I said, the universe likes gratitude. It's like this moment of this is I want a beautiful life. I'm grateful for my family. It's grateful for the opportunity to help other women. So I think that also cycles through and brings that energy of reward back to you as well. You had also mentioned master's degree, and I last week, last week was Black Women's Payday, and they talked about how much you make less than a white man. We're at 64 cents, and I've seen varying numbers. I've seen 58 to 64. But then you look at the education numbers of Black women, and it is insane. Like I think it's 60 to 70% of recent master's degrees have been attained by Black women, like just dominating that upper tier graduate level of education. But it is in no way moving the needle. And I am curious about, did you feel like it was a requirement to have your master's? Like what drove? I'm always trying to get certificates, and my husband teases me like I'm collecting like reward. He's like, you don't need more of these. And I'm like, well, what if I don't know something and I have to prove it? So how was your educational journey in terms of getting your master's in that piece?
Well, I mean, for me, I simply did it because I wasn't going clinical in a clinical direction, I decided to go administratively. And I did it because I had a bachelor's in biology. In order for me to pivot into healthcare, I felt like I wanted to have that management um, kind of history or education underneath me. But guess what? I get into corporate America and they say, oh, you have the master's degree, but you don't have the experience. And then I'm sitting next to people, other women, and they said, oh, you can't get the promotion because you have the experience, but you don't have the degree. So it's kind of just like this loop of like, well, what the heck?
What do you want?
And so I think that having these certificates and degrees are nice to have, but they're tools of the things that you already know within you. And once you get to a point where you're just like, um, education is a business, and this information of this
Good
information of, yeah, is this has become info business. So a lot of people are going into this space to sell information, and so they're nice to have, but it's not required for you to live the life that you want to live. There's a story that you have within you. There's experiences that you have that other people, and lessons that you learn from them that other people can benefit from, that you don't have to sit for a course for 6 to 8 months to put some letters behind your name. Your audience wants to hear what it is that you have to see. You have your purchasers who's going to buy what it is you have to offer. What aligns us is our story and the transformation that we could provide a business or we can provide a person. It's not necessarily how many credentials you have. And if people are looking for credentials as opposed to, I know this works because I did it myself and it worked for me, then that's not my demographic.
Right?
That's
And
how I
you've
look
seen the
at it.
shift too of they said even Google now is looking for more skills based and not as much education because they found someone had checked the box on education but had no leadership skills, had no interpersonal skills, had no soft skills that would help them develop others and be more successful in the organization.
That's exactly right.
Now, we'll touch a little bit. I always like to veer into social media because when you see how much we use social media in a day and how we're represented, I actually feel like in social media, a lot of times I feel seen. You can find your people there or you hear, uh, because there's not the same control that you see over the entertainment industry, social media, you can hear from whoever you want on their stories. And so I feel like I see such positive, and there's other stuff, but I see a lot of positive representation of Black women in interactions and actually all identities and cultures. But what is your experience with social media? Does it make you purchase a lot of things? How is it for you as a parent? All the things.
I'm scared as a parent. I'm put that out there right now. I'm scared as a parent because I didn't have social media growing up. So I'm really teetering with this and letting my daughter know, okay, this is nice and everything. And seeing TikTok is great, but this is a program, is algorithm for you to see only certain type of things. A lot of filters, a lot of things that you're seeing ain't even real. So take that as a grain of salt. I'm gonna just work with that as as we move forward with it, because that's all I got for the parenthood situation. But for me personally, I love social media. I am a YouTube blogger type of person. Most people will sit and watch like TV or Netflix and things of that nature. I sit and watch YouTube. I watch vloggers, other people living life, like seeing the different ways that their morning routines are, different products that they're using. I enjoy YouTube and also Instagram, but I make sure my algorithm has the things that feeds me and nourishes me and the things that I want to see, as opposed to clicking on clickbait, um, that so many of these pages will show you, and then getting all this constant like things that are related to that's not very high vibrational. So I make sure that I'm very, what's the word, I clean my social media on a regular basis. Yeah. But I love it.
I agree. It's like you have to train your algorithm. I'll see something
Yeah.
about like immediately no. Do not
No.
never in my
Immediately.
not in my energy.
Don't do
Sometimes
this.
like no, and then sometimes
Don't
I'll
do
just
this.
like no because something about that profile, that person is like triggering something in me. So it's a no. This is my space. But I 100% agree with you about YouTube. There's a influencer. She's so much more than that. She's an author. Her name's Candace Birthwaite. She's
Mhm.
from the UK. Incredible. I love watching her, but she has something called a very normal vlog. And it's just her like going through her life as a mother, as an entrepreneur, getting dressed in outfit. I don't know why, but I'm like, yes. A new episode comes on, and for me, I'm like, I just want to sit back and like
Watch
absorb
normalcy.
this life. Yeah,
Yes.
normalcy. And she's incredible, just incredible, and
I love
beautiful.
that. And I actually literally just posted because a lot of the things that I post, I post content as
Mm,
well. And, I posted something that because we see this aesthetic of being so clean, so pretty, everybody's so perfect, and I was like, stop. I actually, a few months ago, took a video of how my bedroom looked when I was having I call it a not so good couple of weeks. It was that, my father having cancer and things just not being the way that I needed it to be. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go in there and say, this isn't how it looks like all the time. Let me show you how my room looked when I was going through a bad season. And it scares the dick. I literally did it before we hopped on this recording.
yeah.
And it scared the dickens out of me. But I was like, no, I need to show up transparent and authentic because people on social media is going to look and say, oh my gosh, I needed to see that. There's going to be times where you're not going to feel very productive. You're not going to feel like you have it your all to follow these routines and do all this domestic chores, and that's quite all right. The more you sit and you recharge and read and just nourish yourself and do the things you have to do to replenish yourself, to fill your cup, then that energy will come back so you can go and do the organization and have the pretty pantry and the nice aesthetic room and bathroom and storage space and all that stuff. But it's not all the time, and that's
No,
okay.
I feel that though, because I love when I'm like, oh, they met, like, they're human too. But then, you catch yourself, yes, always putting on a perfect image. And there are times, you have to remind yourself, or a friend will ping me and she's like, you've got everything together. I'm like, girl, you see the mountains of laundry that are not in the shot. And so sometimes I have to remind, to be full human. You let down your armor. If this is your social media experience, how would you highlight a little more authenticity? So I love that you gave that description. And yes, no, sometimes it's just the angle. Sometimes my bed only looks made from an angle. And
Right? Sometimes, like, it's perspective. There's 360 degrees around here. You're not seeing what's in front of me right now. And I'm
I know
blocking nicely my couch behind me. But life be lifing. And I love to let
it.
people know that.
And we know that. I think we inherently know. Like, I see photo. I'm like, obviously this isn't real, but something in the back of your mind is like, yeah, but maybe they really have it figured out. And when you see some of these perfect houses,
No, you know.
either it's immense wealth or it's fake. There's no in between here.
And then you'll see like the influencer, and I'm not going to say her name because I love her still very, very, very much, but we are not aligned right now. But she went to this space, I guess, with the ultra luxe and black
Yeah.
girl, all things luxe, and she clearly has made a great amount of money doing content creation.
Oh, I know who
But
you're
she
talking
started steaming her sheets, and I was like, no, we're no longer. But she also takes these hiatuses where she'll disappear for months, and you have to wonder, like, you have this space where you're presented and you're very posh and you're very pretty, and then you're going on for a hiatus for months. You come back like, I know you're wondering why I've been gone, but life has been like, it's like, girl, you had a mental breakdown, just say that.
about. You know it's too much. I mean, you're steaming sheets. We've gone to 11. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like the beautiful candles and the this. And
Yeah,
I don't know. Part of me is like, I want black girl luxury. I
I
totally
love it.
do. But I
I
want
love
a
it.
life that's a little messy and a little raw. And that would almost watching it stresses me out because I'm like,
Does.
oh,
It had the alternate effect for me. And instead of me rationalizing it and trying to figure out like, why am I having this effect right now? I was just like, it's the effect is here. I have to unfollow. When I come back to wherever you are right now, I'll follow back up with you. But right now,
like
sis,
now,
gotta go downstairs and do laundry. And that's with several kids. So I'm sorry.
yeah, yes, and I agree. It's with several kids. It's making sure that I don't feel like my life is anything less because I'm seeing your life, and I need my kids not to feel that energy off me. So yeah, it's what you feed your soul with completely has an impact.
Yes, yes, yes.
Right now, my favorite portion of I love a rapid fire. I love the beginning, but I feel like a rapid fire is always a study in who people are as humans. Here we go. If you could work with any brand, no limits, any space, who would it be and why?
Definitely travel. So I would start with Marriott. I want to do more travel. I want to start documenting more travel because to me, travel is a necessary thing, as we talked about earlier. So I would definitely partner with Marriott or Hilton or any of the above in a heartbeat.
Love it. Okay, more of that. We're putting that out in the universe. And I want more Black families to do travel vlogs. I really do. 'Cause I'm
Yes.
always like, no, don't show me your trip to Miami.
Oh,
Yeah, I get it. I don't want
nice.
that.
Good.
I want people like we're in Costa Rica and da da da. And you went to Kenya, and I want that experience. So anytime I find one, I'm like, any content you have, I am absorbing it. I love it.
Good to know.
All right. One celebrity you would want to collaborate, and one you would want to get advice from.
Well, my favorite influencer right now is Gina Janine. I would love to collaborate with her. I definitely follow her on Instagram, YouTube. I'm not on TikTok yet. And so that's one person, the influencer that I would love to collab with. And what was the
And then
second?
who would you want to get advice from? You get
Good
a lot.
advice from? Oh yeah, probably same Gina. I mean, being in the content creation space,
Yeah.
she's my age. She has children, but she left her corporate healthcare job and now she's primarily self-employed. So I would love to sit at the table and say like any tips and tricks. I would love to know that information. But more so it's the mindset, right? Because you can sit down and give everybody the sauce, but it's the mindset that's actually going to push you through.
Oh, I agree with that mindset. It is like I've met entrepreneurs who are really big in the space and you meet them, and I'm always expecting something magical to be about them. Like you meet them, and I'm like, what is, and it's almost always the same. It is an unwielding confidence in who they are and what they want to do. That is the only thing I've ever seen. And I met them like, is it because they're not even that when you meet them? A lot of times you'll meet someone celebrity, and I'm like, you just have an unwielding belief that you can make this happen. And to mimic that, to capture that in a bottle would be incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are your favorite content sources? We talked about YouTube. Any other favorite content sources or people that you love to follow?
So yeah, definitely YouTube, definitely Instagram. Those are my two right now that I have been primarily focused on. I haven't gotten into the TikTok space. Again, being my age, sometimes learning new things is a little stressful for me. However, of course, LinkedIn for my professional business accounts, but that's what I've been doing so far. And if I see something, especially when it comes to reviews about the Maryland, DC area, Virginia area, I'll definitely click on that or follow people that I feel is putting good content, valuable content out there, travel content, or just something that I saw interesting or felt like they were consistent in their delivery of certain topics and ideas. I like to follow them as well.
Do you have any guilty pleasure content? Like I love an audiobook. The Audible gets a lot of credits. Do you have any like guilty pleasure content?
I was about to say me looking at these blogs was probably guilty pleasure content because I don't even turn on regular TV anymore. But when I did, if Married to Medicine comes out with a season, I'll binge that real quick. I'm right now watching Apple TV. Oh gosh, Hijack with Idris Elba. The last episode, my goodness, are you watching Hijack? Have
No,
you
I'm
seen it?
behind because I like
Oh,
have so many shows in the queue, so I'm behind.
okay. All right, so that's what I'm watching. And the last episode left my jaw hanging on the floor and the remote's still in my hand, like, oh my gosh. So that's pretty much what I've been doing.
Love I It's always funny when you get this show that you're like, everyone be quiet. This is my moment of like escapism. And it's not always quality television. Sometimes it's like reality where I'm like, everyone leave. Like
Right.
the new seasons of Housewives of New York came out, and I'm not normally, something about New York pulled me in, and I was like, 3 episodes in, like glued to this. I'm like, move away from your television. Go do something else. Like, why are you so interested in these women you don't know? It'll pull you in though.
Reality TV. It's probably going to be another good dose of that coming soon since the strike is back on, right? So I'm
That's what
like,
I was
give me
thinking.
some more trash TV. Yes.
No, but I think the producers and all those people are SAG, and the reality is they still have writers on reality TV. Like we all want to believe that they're, but like they still have writers.
There's
So I'm
definitely still some
like,
writers
no,
still
there's
there.
still. So I'm like, I know that didn't come out of your mouth. That is a very scripted.
But it's
Not
somebody
just
that's so close to reality. And it was like, how about we come up with this scenario? And it's like, you know what? My uncle and aunt went through the same exact thing.
the fights. I'm like, you have been fighting 7 episodes about the dumbest fight. So this is clearly like a scripted thing because not enough was happening in
Oh
the real
my gosh, yes. I was all about the Stevie J and oh my, I forgot their names, but oh my
life.
god, the Puerto Rican princess and the Stevie
Yes.
J and all that was me. That was my era.
Not real. What am I doing? Why am I pulled in? Okay. Now on a more positive question. If you devoted the rest of your life to a social impact cause, what would you choose and why?
Mm. Social impact cause. It would be the equitable pay for us. I feel it's twofold. I feel like, these entities will take advantage of as long as they can take advantage. And then there's this lack of education and transparency around salary. And so, I just think that you know, that's a huge effort that definitely needs to be discussed a lot more because there's still a lot of us that don't know that information.
Oh, more of that. Yes, because if you get raised minimum wage at $25, let's just say we raise minimum wage at $25, the economic impact, the social impact of pay, equity, and a livable wage, and then you talk about equity at these different, the impact it would have.
Hmm.
All right, last question, or actually two more. I'm curious. I want to get one more out. You have $300 to spend on something selfish. What are you buying?
$300.
Something selfish.
Perfume.
Yes.
I'm
What?
I and I'm not even like a huge perfume person because I get Scentbird. Shout out to Scentbird. I get them like every month, and I'll be like, oh, okay. And I think it's gotten so bad I haven't gone in there and actually curated my list, so they just send whatever is there now. But I see so many of the girlies like with certain notes and like this mixed with that, and I'm like, I just feel like that's something that I should be aiming for. So I always look and smell nice perfumes, but I haven't made that type of purchase yet. So that's what I would do.
Ooh, I love that. That's a look. Then that's a sensory imagery experience.
Yes, yes, very much.
And very last question: would your 12-year-old self think you're cool?
Oh, she would think I'm a complete baddie. I don't. I don't say my 12, and I talk to my younger self often. But she would be very proud of the length that we've come, the direction that we're going. Um, I I everything that I do is to make that little girl proud.
Love that. I
Yeah,
love when the
she
answer is
deserves
yes.
the word. Yeah, she
Always
deserves the
answer is
world.
yes. All right. Well, it has been so wonderful chatting with you. I love it. Of course, we went long because, of course, we had so many things to say. But I want you to tell people where to find you, how to connect with you, how to have more of your content.
Sure. I actually have a giveaway, a cheat sheet to having a life full of more joy. So if you text more joy, all one word, to 55444, you'll get an email from me or a text message from me. And that's how you can download as well as my Instagram information. You can find me on as the Joy Curator, and that's curator with a K, and that's on Instagram.
Love it. And I'll make sure I put everything in the show notes so we can find all of that great information. This has been absolutely delightful. Thank you for sharing your culture, your identity, your experience, your story with us. And I'm looking forward to everyone else getting to listen to this episode and their experiences with how you convey culture. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for providing this space and the opportunity for me to talk about it. I love it.
Oh, my pleasure.